We are live.
We are live. What's up, everybody? And welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys. Before I say anything, you'll probably hear me say this a lot tonight. We have to get back to these old rules of no cursing, no politics, no religion, because sometimes these guys go squirrel and it gets out of hand. The views and opinions that are heard tonight are not necessarily the views and opinions of everyone on the panel tonight and or in the chat room. What's up, Elliot? Anyway, what's up, Herman? How are you, buddy? What's going on?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Big John Drips. That's his FPV name. Drips FPV. What's up, Jay Santiago and everyone else out there on the internet of the world of social media.
So we got all kind of things going on, you know.
What happened?
We have all kind of things going on. We got what you said, drip.
Yeah, drips.
We
John,
got
Big
drips,
John,
we got puddles.
has popped his acro cherry the other day, and now he's totally flying full acro. He's just practicing like I am. Justin popped his FPV cherry the other day as well, and he basically did it because of peer pressure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I was going.
They held a LiPo battery to my head and said, "If you don't fly this, it's gonna be something bad's gonna happen."
Yeah. He took a LiPo battery to his head and tied a firecracker to it and said, "If you don't put the goggles on, we're gonna light it."
Hey, Paul.
Hey, good
How's it
evening.
What's up, Paul? How are you?
Good.
But anyway, like I was saying, Big John 314. Now the other day he popped his acro cherry, and Justin popped his acro cherry. So now I can officially say that those guys' FPV is now started.
Hey, Paul, you see that his FPV name?
Yeah.
Drips FPV. We got drips, we got puddles, we got all kind of things.
Well, next
all
thing
this water spilling.
you're gonna have the human stream FPV.
I don't know. Yes, acro cherry. Drone Evolution on the panel and Big John on 314 came out by me the other day because I have a very big field to practice in, and they flew acro for the first time. So that's what I mean by acro cherry. It's their first time flying acro with the goggles on and the whole nine. So it was a major experience because I've been trying to start. What's up, Michael? And coast to coast. But it should be quite interesting. What's up, Curtis? How are you? You guys support each other. Say hello to each other and support each other. Don't forget to click that like button, please. I appreciate it very much.
Trying to get all my stuff set up here for real quick. Okay.
So, what's up what's up, Paul? How are you, man?
Well,
How are you, buddy?
I'm trying to get the live feed so that I can mute the damn thing. And I've still got Sunday Nights with, and it's just a picture of you three guys, and it's not giving me the live feed.
Go back to the page and then scroll down.
Yeah. What's up, Curtis? How are you?
Life is good. I'm still trying to figure out this whole damn YouTube thing. So I get all kinds of notices that Phantom is going to be going on Wednesday on my YouTube channel.
Right.
I get absolutely nothing about Novice quads.
Because you didn't click the bell.
No, I did click the bell on both of them.
That's kind of strange,
but I do get the email that you've gone live.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange.
Totally bizarre.
Yes, you guys can't wait to get to New York City this December. Michael W. Blade.
Who?
If you want to fly with some pretty cool dudes, hit us up. You want to fly someplace legally, which, by the way, it's going to be kind of strange because the topic of tonight's show is it illegal to fly in New York City? Because there was an article posted.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
There was an article posted on support local on city and state New York, and it's a whole big thing on. It says in New York City, drones fly in illegal limbo, and I'll go into detail what that's about. But let's get a few more people in here. And how were you? How was everyone's week? Basically, I'm.
It was all right.
Good, good, good.
It was all right, man. It was work for me. Jeez.
Well, hey, Joe Mack, how are you? And welcome.
I got something I want to share when we get to this subject you guys are talking about flying legal.
Okay.
There's a certain company I have a little bit of a beef with that is promoting the Mavic Mini incorrectly.
Certain company.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find the video. I watched it earlier today and I forgot to bookmark it. So I'm going through my history real quick. And
Coast to Coast is harassing.
I'll send you the link.
Curtis.
Huh?
Bill at Coast to Coast is harassed. He says, I can't believe Curtis ordered the Mavic Mini. And then Santiago says, yeah, with his wife's credit card.
I haven't ordered the Mavic Mini. Sorry, guys. Where did
you don't see a lot of people trying to sell the Spark, so I don't think a lot of people are jumping on it.
Hey, Herman, should I mention what we got invited to and we can't make it?
Wow, that's up to you. I don't.
Rajapalooza?
Okay, no.
You mentioned
Billy
it already
Kyle
by asking me live.
Well, Billy Kyle had hit me up. Now I only work part-time one day during the week, alternating Wednesdays or Thursdays and part-time on Saturday. And I decided to work this Monday to try and get some extra money. You know, the holidays are coming, Mavic 2 Pro on the Christmas list, you know, stuff like that. And
Right.
Of all the Mondays that I decide to work, Billy Kyle hits me up with a text and goes, hold on, let me pull it up. In fact, Jameson's trying to get in here. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Yo, Lawrence, a distributor I'm working with is hosting a fly before you buy event just in Jersey for the Mavic Mini. You're free and you want to come through. Now, my only problem is somebody's double.
I just got to shut it off.
Oh, but the thing is, any other Monday I would be off, and because I'm working tomorrow afternoon, in fact, I can't make it, and neither can any of those guys because Justin works, Herman works, and you other guys are out of state. But that just goes to show how things are. But getting back to the topic that I wanted to talk about, is it illegal to fly in New York? Let me copy this link first so you guys could read along or read the rest of it afterwards. But what they're saying is, it starts out, the article starts out really funny. And what I mean by funny is, hold on a second. Hold on. What I'm saying is, it's kind of messed up the way that they're portraying flying in New York and things like that. It says in New York, drones fly in illegal limbo, but the paragraph starts off: want a burrito delivered? A drone can do that. Need emergency medical assistance? A drone can do that. Need to survey a crowd or capture live video of a fire? Drones are already doing that. Okay. Now, the small unmanned aerial vehicles, popularly known as drones, suggested to answer to everyday problems are in active use in NYPD and frequent flying hobbyists, photographers, and gadget nerds, drones, etc. Basically us hobbyists, fly in illegal limbo within the 5 boroughs. Now, it also goes to say that the FAA approves flights in the city by registered drone pilots within relatively strict limits. But anyone going to the city 311 information trying to find out where you can fly or how you can fly, you will get a message that says call 911 to report a drone in use in New York City. It reads, it is illegal to fly them in New York City. So, I mean, what the hell is going on? We've known this for a long time here. We've known about it. We know what's going on. But do you think it's illegal to fly in New York? Seriously.
No.
I mean, because if it was, I could guarantee you, just off the top of my head, I could think of 50 people that would be get locked up right now if it was illegal to fly in New York.
Or the fact that you have pictures with police officers when you're flying. So that right there should just tell you that there's a lot of misinformation going around.
Well, the
Well-
the misinformation is who has the authority of the airways, not the city of New York, not the state of New York, the FAA.
Correct. But the city
Period.
of New
There's
York
no
is taking.
there's no ambiguity there.
Okay, but the city of the state of New York, and I say the state because in order for the local city and the 5 borough, the metropolitan area to do what they do, they had to get permission from the state. And right now, for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been telling their employees, if you see someone flying a drone and you're picking up garbage or you're a park employee, you tell that person there's no flying drones in New York City. There's no flying drones in New York City Department of Parks, in New York City parks.
Well, they can tell you you can't take off there.
Hey, Drone Life.
They
Good.
can tell you you can't land there,
Yep, but that's it.
but they can't tell you you can't fly.
That's right.
Right. And what's funny is because not only are they telling all the employees this, but they are even giving their supervisors the wrong information. That's not a problem. We appreciate you stopping in and showing us support, Drone Bum. The issue is they are telling their supervisors. I ran into a supervisor last year. Now, everyone knows state parks are out off limits, right? Everyone does know that. Well, this guy in his white shirt and his gold badge on, obviously New York City Department of Parks supervisor, and he had someone with a green shirt, a regular, with him in the car. And this guy told me literally to go fly in the park, the state park, which is right next door to the city park where I fly. There's even a border where if I'm standing in the city, and I have actually played with them a few times, if the city comes to me to tell me they don't want me to fly in the park, I take about 10 steps backwards and I'm in a state park. So
we do the same thing in Seattle. You can't fly from city parks in Seattle, but you can go from those little paid parking spaces.
yes,
parking lots.
yes, you can
just
fly
go park
from
there and fly right out of the back of your pickup.
You can fly from the concrete. Like we have a state park down here. It's Jacob Riis Beach State Park, and you cannot fly there. But I can stand on the sidewalk across the street and fly that entire state park all I want. And it's been done. People, I'm not flying from there. I'm not landing there. I'm not taking off, and I'm not flying over people. But my issue is, if it's illegal to fly in New York, why are city officials telling their employees it's illegal and they're not enforcing it? Every year, John's right, Parks Department, the sheriffs, all of them, every year they print out new Parks Department signs that say no smoking, no alcohol, no radio playing, no vendors without permits. All these pretty signs, tens of thousands of them every year, and they never put that little picture with a drone and a stamp through it, or they never say no flying drones and or any type of UAV aircraft. And until I see that in parks, you can kind of question it. I mean, it would be nice to just say, okay, whatever, land and go to another place or whatever. But my point is, what is John saying? Because real quick, they tell you your drone is getting taken away. That's another thing I forgot to mention. They've told their employees to tell these drone pilots here in New York that we have the right to take your drone away.
Well, here's the
You
thing.
something.
Here's the thing everybody's got to remember. Ignorance is not only designated to be from the ignorant people. Ignorance can be spread across, and unless anybody challenges it or has the information at hand to challenge it,
Hey, Roger.
then they think that's the way it is.
But
Paul, you're going right down the road I want to talk about to add.
See,
Well-
but the problem is, Paul, is that the FAA, in spite of the fact that they controls something and they're the one that sets the rules on this airspace, they don't enforce anything. So what it is they leave things up to the local municipalities, and they've left it up to them to tell you that you can and cannot take off here and there. And there's a thing
Herman,
that
I don't think the FAA has officially come out and documented and said, City of New York, you're in charge. City of New York City, you're in charge. No, they have set up a set of rules and guidelines that everybody has to follow. And so therefore, your license with the FAA, Herman, doesn't say City of New York, or the state of New York, or the state of Wyoming, or the state of Kansas. No, it's the federal government.
Right. And I always go back to the symposium and all these other things that I watch with the FAA. And the FAA is allowing local municipality to tell you, you cannot take off from here and you cannot land here. They're allowing that.
Well, but what they're saying is they don't want to get into property rights. But if you fly in that space, there's not a darn thing the city of New York.
No, you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right.
And here's a gray area for you to think about, Herman. What happens if you hand launch it and you don't touch the ground with that drone?
Well, you're still standing on that ground.
You're still considered flying on their property, unfortunately. And this is where it gets gray, because there's a spot out here where I fly. They say there's no flying on the beach, right? So I don't stand on the beach. I stand on the city sidewalk. Okay. Now the police come, ambulance drivers come. They come through there. They never say a word. They watch us fly. They see we're not causing any harm. They see we're not flying over people, and they see we're handling ourselves, flying within the line of sight too, as well. And some even come over and ask questions. Now, we have one lady that patrols the beach. Her name is Blondie. I remember when she started.
Yeah, remember the last
promoted, and now she's a supervisor that patrols the beach in an ATV. She sees us standing from the sidewalk, and honestly, she can't say a word, because every time she opens her mouth, I say, I'm not standing on the beach, and this is not beach property. And all she does is ask us, do you have your card? Do you have your FAA registration card? Once we say yes, that's cool, because if you say no and you're standing on city property, it's her job to actually call the local police and say people are flying drones over the beach from the city sidewalk. In which case, if a cop, we've never had it happen. She usually sees us with our cards and lets us go. But I'm waiting to see what happens to the poor guy that's not registered.
Now, if you call the parks department here in New York and ask them where you can fly, they'll locate you to one of those airfields throughout the city.
Right. One of the 5 airfields, which one is so close to an airfield within the 2-mile radius of the no-fly zone.
It's a playpen, bro.
We call it Interference Park.
It's a playpen. It's not an airfield.
Right. And then there's one in Forest Park.
That's even worse.
Oh my God. It's a circle. Maybe it's a 100-foot radius circle.
You still have that picture of it?
Huh?
You still have the picture of it?
Justin had some pictures and video of that place, but it's engulfed. It's literally engulfed, Paul and Curtis, by trees that over 100 years old. Now, in order for a tree to be 100 years old, they grow on the average of 10 feet a year here in New York, these particular trees. And this tree has to be 10 stories plus. Well, these trees are 10 stories, 15 stories, and they totally encircle the airfield. So all you can do is fly in a circle or go straight up and look over, because the bush, it's so thick. As soon as you're
talking about my backyard,
you lose signal.
Yeah, it's about the size of the backyard, and in the most homes you would look to.
Hey, Jerry Freeman,
the up here in the Pacific Northwest, that is everywhere. So along the lines of what you guys are talking about, there is a company that I I don't know. I don't know how I want to say. Okay, so the company is Moment, and they a while back they released this thing called the anamorphic lens for the Mavic 2 Pro, and I'm vehemently against it because you will damage your Mavic 2 Pro if you use this lens. You have to calibrate your.
Is that the weighted one?
Yeah,
Yes.
the weighted one, the one where you have to calibrate your lens and then you put it on, and of course your lens is not calibrated. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
And it is so important to DJI that every time you start your drone, that gimbal calibrates.
Yep.
It's that important. So this company this is their attitude towards it. They don't care. They're going to make the product and people are buying it. So I don't know how they got it or where or who they got it from, but they managed to get their hands on I'm going to drop the link here in a minute. They managed to get their hands on a DJI Mavic Mini, and they did a DJI Mavic Mini. Can you get cinematic footage? They now have 376,000 views on this thing. Now the filming of it and the how good is the image, et cetera, they did a really good job on. And they also gave you the footage so that you can download and play with it yourself and see if you want to do something.
Right.
And it was filmed up here in the Pacific Northwest over a nice little lake that we have up here. We're really way back in the mountains and stuff. So it's beautiful, gorgeous footage. Very, very nice. But where I run into a problem is he says the beauty of the DJI Mavic Mini is that it is not regulated by the FAA. And then he goes on to say you don't have to register it and you don't have to pay attention to all the other rules that regular drone pilots have to pay attention to. It's a toy with a camera.
There you go. Ignorance again.
Right. 3,000. I mean, it's 9.3K likes on this thing, only 180 dislikes. If you guys want to check it out, I tried to find the exact spot, but I didn't quite get it. So you may have to, I've got it set for 3 minutes and 55 seconds into it, but you may have to listen to it a little bit further where he talks about it. But he doesn't say things like you can fly over cars and stuff like that. He just says, basically, you're not regulated by the FAA. Go do what you want.
So once again, we're going to have thousands upon thousands of people.
And they sell it now.
Tens of thousands of people going out and buying this thing thinking, hey, I don't have to register and I can fly where I want. Well, you
fly over people. Like, yeah.
Simple solution to that. One of those jammer guns that jams the Wi-Fi frequency. Problem solved. Plain and simple.
How you gonna do it, Lawrence?
I mean, we don't have to worry about it here in the city. There's enough interference. Stop it, Herman. I'm ignoring you, Herman.
It's just absolutely ridiculous what people, and this company is, they sell DJI products now. They've expanded what they're doing. They're selling bags, backpacks, and all kinds of stuff. They're based up here out of Seattle, and they're just doing their own thing. They're not
so
paying
basically
attention to
they're
what's going
trying to
on.
make money selling the product.
Correct.
But I'm not mad at but if you're
More
going to
power to
sell
'em.
something, you need to know what you're selling. I've worked in retail for over 25 years, and I can tell you, I can sell a pair of shoes to anyone. Okay, you have to know what you're freaking selling. Seriously.
Well, the thing of it is, Curtis, that's blatant. And if the FAA doesn't catch on to what they're saying in there, then shame on the FAA.
Yeah,
well, I don't think it'll
should be
happen.
after.
I don't think it'll happen because unless they get millions of hits, the FAA isn't going to pay any attention to it.
Yeah, but they're up to what? How many are they right now?
Let me give you the stats on it. Right now, as of right now, this was released on October 30th. And when they had this thing, 376,291. They got 9.3K likes and 180 dislikes, and a boatload of comments.
You know, maybe just a link sent to the FAA.
Sometimes that's what it takes. If you remember the guy that was flying by the Israeli airport and from the bar,
right?
You remember that situation? Well, there was a flood of thousands of people sending that video to the FAA, and the FAA was like, we can't do anything because it's not here in the United States, but we will forward this information.
Yeah.
It's something can be done. Trust me. So don't think nothing can be done. And that dude got arrested.
Well, and I'm not looking to bust up anybody's company, but I think, you know, as much as some other people we know is getting harassed by the FAA. This company needs to be told, listen, here's the rules, follow the rules, and don't give out misinformation about those rules.
That's probably what the FAA would do. They would go in and give them a smack on the hand and say, now do it right, or give out the proper information.
Yep. And they'd monitor them to make sure that they don't do it again.
Because what Herman was mentioned on Wednesday nights with those guys about the Mavic Mini, once you put the prop guards on it, it passes the 250 gram mark. You know, so and a lot of these guys are going to go out there and buy this drone and get the prop guards for it and fly it with the prop guards, which means technically it
has to be registered.
Should be registered.
The only difference about the Mavic Mini is you don't have to register yourself as owning a drone. If that's the only drone you have, that's the only difference. You still have to follow all the other rules that everybody else has to follow as a hobbyist. If you are a 107 pilot and you use it for commercial work, you have to follow those rules then.
Hold on, Curtis. If you're a commercial pilot and you're using the Mavic Mini to work with, I wouldn't hire you.
Dude, there are real estate agents that are taking photos of houses with their cell phones. It's not a big stretch for them to grab a Mavic Mini and do a couple aerial shots.
What happened, Herman?
It shoots in 2.7. What you don't really need 4K for that. But what I was going to say to you is that, you see, this is just another one of those things that I was telling you before, and is the biggest problem with this hobby is the creation of verbiage that creates a mindset that takes you in the wrong direction. It started out with everybody talking about, they tell you, okay,
I agree, Jerry.
To fly a drone, you had to go through certain checkpoints. You do this, you do that before you take off. Now the verbiage became, I can get this drone off the ground in 10 seconds. Yeah. So now everybody wants to rush to get the drone off the ground. Now you take something like this and everybody's mindset stopped. Everybody's ears stopped listening at, it's under the weight limit. You don't have to register it. So it doesn't, nothing else applies.
Exactly.
And that's the problem, is that we create verbiage that makes people do dumb things.
You have to remember that we're drone enthusiasts and camera enthusiasts. So we do look at the bit rate. We do look at 4K. We do look at everything that's going on, and we want the best camera that's in the air. But somebody that's on a budget, that's, hey, I got to sell this little house, and I'm taking some indoor photographs with my cell phone. Here, let me go grab this Mavic Mini. I don't have to register anything or do anything. And now I can just add that to my repertoire for only $4.99 or $3.99, whatever they get. Those are the people that are going to be doing this stuff. They don't really care about the quality. They just want to get the shot.
But what's going to be messed up, and this
is let me just finish this now. So to say that it won't be used professionally would be incorrect. It is going to be used professionally.
Well, let me restate that by saying I would never use it professionally. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to tell you one thing. These same real estate agents that are going to be using this, or these photographers, I believe it can help their work with 2.7 video and the camera bit rate, et cetera, but 9 out of 10 of those people don't know the FAA laws, are not going to learn the FAA laws, and they're going to go and buy this thing thinking it can help their business, not knowing whether or not they're in a no-fly zone, and what's going to happen the first time they go to take off and it says cannot take off.
No, I'm going to tell you what the problem is, and that's the next issue, which you just mentioned. The thing is, because it's a drone, we don't have to register. There are thousands of real estate agents, just like Curtis mentioned, that thinks now, because it doesn't have to be registered, I can use it, shoot all the shots I need, I need for my house, my real estate projects, and further my business, and I fall under the guidelines of the FAA, and that's not true.
Another business that
still further in the business.
People are not thinking of. You're probably not thinking about this, but as far as commercial goes, there's a lot of people, especially construction sites, they like to document progress, and it's a lot easier to document progress from the air. So a lot of guys get hired to go out and every Saturday just fly over the job site and film stuff, and the guys back in New York while they're building it in Miami can look at the progress of the project and see what's going on.
Hey, FSX.
So it's very, very easy. It's very, very easy for somebody to also think about that. You know, hey, I can go to just get this little drone and fly it over my construction site, no problem.
Oh, interesting. You guys check out that on our interpersonal chat there,
Oh yeah,
please.
yeah.
But we keep going. Welcome back, Justin. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys. The top
Copy that, Paul.
Saigon Drone Fix. How are you, buddy? What's up, FSX 239? Welcome to Sunday Nights with those guys. The topic of tonight was kind of do you think it's illegal to fly in New York City? And if so, why? And we kind of got on the topic of the Mavic Mini, which is a good topic because it's out.
Well, it was more about somebody, not so much the Mavic Mini, but somebody giving false information out, and somebody with a lot of people paying attention to them.
Right. And we started getting into the topic of whether it would be suitable to use for professional reasons, and I guess it is. It's a toy version drone with a decent camera.
I call it the vacation drone.
Now, how many of you guys out there ordered one? Because now I notice people are starting to get them. They're starting to spread across the United States. I don't know of anyone here in New York.
Oh, I know.
Drone Life says a realtor agent brought my Phantom 4 to use for his job. Exactly. But when you have something as small as the Mavic Mini, what they consider that with 2.7.
You know what, Lawrence?
Huh?
I hope it catches on, because you heard what Justin just called it?
What?
Say it again, Justin.
Drone.
It's a what, Justin?
The vacation drone.
That means that the Mavic just went poof, right out of the way. You are no longer portable, brother.
I guess
Isn't that how the verbiage goes?
Mm-hmm.
The smaller guy
Darby.
boots you from being portable.
What's up, Darby? How are you, brother?
By next year, the Mavic Pro will be a clunker.
Stop
It'll be that huge drone that's in the air.
Wait a minute. You got your drone in your pocket? Man, it's tucked under my arm. What do you?
By the way, in case I don't want to stay on the Mavic Mini or kind of push us in that direction, but in case somebody does get one right now and the app is not available in the Google Play Store or iTunes Store, you can get it from the DJI website.
Yes.
Okay.
Just in case anybody in the chat did not know that, if you do get one right now and you're looking for the app, because I know a lot of people are, it is available on DJI's website. And it will take you to Google Play, or it will take you to Android. Android or iOS, whichever
EBR,
one you
what's
use.
good, man? Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier, for you guys that weren't here, Justin popped his Acro Cherry the other day, and now he's flying FPV. Sounds like a man with an order to me, QQ. You know, all I can say is, if you're going to buy the Mavic Mini, more power to you. I wish you luck and very successful flights. It's just, I don't personally, I don't have a use for it. I personally don't have a use for half the shit I have, if you think about it. But I do have a few things, and
kind of think a lot of people just want it because it's new.
But you know what?
I'm not going to buy it.
Where was the Mavic Mini when I was getting into drones 4 years ago?
Yeah,
and had to spend $275 on this Hubsan H501S.
It was called a Phantom 4 Pro or Phantom 3 Standard.
Well, all I know is they didn't have it back then for $400 though.
What,
right now you can buy a Phantom 3 Professional now, I think, for about $400. So I guess it's a matter of portability or whatever, but the fact that you have a drone and you can put it in your pocket or you can put it in your purse, it's a perfect vacation drone.
Uh-oh.
I think what the Mavic series has taught us is that you don't have to have big to do what you want to do, because everybody, it's like I had the big Inspires, you know. I thought, man, you got to have the Inspire, you know.
Yeah, I was the same way.
And I found out that now I'm flying the Mavic 2 Zoom, and it does everything and more and longer flight time than with the Inspires. So I don't know.
Paul,
I feel a lot of people, they just rely on my drone has sensors. I can't fly it without sensors. That's how I feel. That's why everyone's talking about the Skydio. Oh, I won't run into anything. Learn how to fly. You
true.
In case of emergencies.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I have a Skydio on order, and the only reason is I think I fly pretty good. You know, with 1,400 videos on YouTube, I pretty much got a lot of it
Drone
down.
Pool.
But
click that like button, guys. There's too many of you guys out there not supporting us.
But when you're going for that cinematic and in a cluster area, and I don't care how good a pilot you are, you got to think about it. You got to do it all. You got to frame the shot. You got to do everything else. And this thing does a lot of the calculations of piloting for you for a specific purpose.
Right now, the Skydio is doing the same thing the cell phone is doing. It's making you dumber.
No, not necessarily. So there is an old, hold on. There is an old saying, no risk, no reward. But there is a certain point when you're flying and you go, okay, if I go left, I could really seriously lose my drone. I can go right and the footage would be cool. I'm going to go right, because then the dollar signs kind of come in front of your eyes. But if you have something that is so reliable that you go, okay, I'm going to go left because I know the drone is going to avoid that stuff and I'm going to get footage that's 10 times better, why would you not utilize the tools that are being provided?
Right.
Okay, I agree. Now I'm going to preface that by saying I can orbit better than most people can manually. I don't even know how to do the orbit function. I can figure eight all day. Yeah, I can figure eight all day long, inside and outside.
You want to know? I would agree with you on that, because by the time it takes me to set up the point of interest, to fly over the object, fly to the object, fly over the object, look down, mark that spot, look up, back away more than 75 to 100 feet from that target, and then press the start button, I could have did half the orbit already.
Right.
And if what you were trying to target is a moving target, you're really screwed.
Yeah, I can orbit moving targets too. So, but my point being, like if you get a situation where you want to go down below the tree line and go through the trees and come up to the other side, and you have a choice of two routes. One is still cool, but the other one is even cooler. Why would you not use the tools provided for you?
True.
Yeah, I'm taking. There's a couple things I'm leaving out here. You are not talking about the price of the drone. The extra money you got to spend just to have this drone. Is that the drone you have in the air at the time? Do you have your Inspire in the air? And you're like, oh, geez, I wish I would have sent the Skydio up. There's a lot of other factors in that debate argument right there. But
I think it's a drone for in your kit. In other words, in your collection of drones for certain situations. I don't think everybody's going to buy a Skydio and fly it 100% all the time.
I agree, Paul. You have the correct line of thinking. Go to any professional photographer. They don't have one camera. They don't have one lens.
True.
The correct tool for the correct job.
But that's why I said to you before, Paul, that the Skydio is good for that small filmmaker that can get shots that they would not necessarily be able to get because they wouldn't be able to afford to.
Right.
I mean, it's not the drone I'm going to send it out a couple 100 feet up over wide open waters.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the Phantom for that. You guys fly the Mavic for that. But in the tight, close places, our obstacle avoidance stops. This can maximize the space that's there for you to continue to get a shot that you cannot get with a DJI drone. Sorry, case closed, point. Done.
Drop the mic.
The only thing that I
stop the mic because you just can't.
Well, you have a valid point, because for one, being that it's fully autonomous, you might go through the same place 3 times, and 3 times it may take 3 different points of views,
Yeah.
depending on how you hit that access. If you're going between 2 trees here and there's bushes, and the first time it may have panned to the right. If you
Well,
go through again, the odds of it being in that exact area, because
well,
it's autonomous, are
mhm.
slim. It may take another route, which
I've
may
listened
add to.
to Curtis's friend Paul talk about flying it, and he was saying that with pushing the sticks forward, what it did was it maximizes the space in the direction of where he's going, because it has a 3-foot bubble around the drone,
Yeah.
and it will, if you're going to the right and there's an object there, it's going to use all the space that it can use to go that way. It's not going to pick another way with your controlling it with the controller. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's and Curtis, I think you would agree. There's percentages. I plan on buying the drone, the beacon, and the controller,
Look out, Paul.
and use it in different situations. Will dictate whether do I program it, do I use the beacon, or do I use the controller? You know.
Mhm.
Well, you know,
Well,
when you go
I'm
out on
in,
your morning
I'm
jogs, you can put the
interested to
beacon
see
in
a
your
real.
pocket.
I'm really interested to see a real videographer get his hand on the Skydio and see what he can do with it.
For
Because
me, the thing that
off the top of my head, I know guys that do wedding shoots. I know guys that do real estate and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But could you imagine a real estate shot showing an apartment off or something like that, and you're walking through the house and this thing is following you, provided you have more than an average sized doorway, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I've
We
yet
just
to
see
see
more
the
of that.
Skydio go through a doorway,
Yeah,
but
we just
I'm
see
sure
more
it could.
because most of the videos on YouTube is about a Skydio 2 following someone on a motorcycle or a dirt bike.
Right, right. And usually the distance is 50 feet or more. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I would
yeah,
like
I'd say 25 to 50 feet, because I
if I
did
see
see
a
one up
Skydio
close.
video with someone walking through the house and this thing is following them and not running into anything.
Well, there was
Highly-
there was an interesting video out there, Justin. I don't know if you caught it or not, but the guys over at Drone U went into a barn, a building, and went up floors and down floors, up the stairways, and all kinds of things.
Mhm.
That
that was Romeo Dersher from DJI.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Well, for
so,
me, the Skydio, you know, we talk about the different cameras and different lenses. The Skydio provides an opportunity for me. I work with a lot of what I call $0 million movie budget guys who have big plans, but they have no budget whatsoever. We're all
Champagne taste and a beer budget.
right. And, you know, they're essentially making something for YouTube. I love doing those things. They're fun. And 2 years ago, there was a movie. It was basically Little Red Riding Hood, in which some of the scenes she's running through the forest. And if you guys have seen any photos of the Pacific Northwest, we have some gorgeous forest up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I essentially got all the aerial shots where I was above the tree line, following her and stuff like that. How cool would it have been to give her a beacon and have her run through the forest with that thing on her?
yep.
Yeah, it would have been just awesome. But she was moving too fast while she was running for me to feel safe about turning my drone sideways and following her through there. You know, I'm not able to look to the side because I'm turned and focused on her side and tracking her.
Yep.
But with this thing, you know, put the beacon in her hand and have her run through the
You
forest a
have a
few times,
valid
and you got
point.
your shots.
Even everyone in the audience is saying it's a
Right.
great action camera.
Mhm.
Now, even more than
Would
that,
you
could
consider
you
that
imagine?
an action cam?
But can you imagine someone with a beacon like the scene you described, Curtis,
Yeah.
and instead of one beacon, give them two and set 2 Skydios free? I could see great possibilities with it as far as making stuff look really hot. You could have one
Well,
follow and one
and
circle. It just
but you brought up an excellent point, Lawrence, and I don't know the answer, and maybe Curtis has got some insight about it. Is the beacon? Can you have 2 beacons where one might be the videographer on the ground, the other might be the participant holding one, where the videographer could change it to go around to the front, where the person that's running through the forest or whatever, they're just more or less just doing their thing, and you're using the beacon to track them. But can another one be say, okay, move to the front, move to the rear, you know?
Well, that's
So
interesting.
you're talking about dual beacons for? I
For a
don't think you
single
can do
drone.
that. Yeah, I don't think you could do
No,
that.
no. Each beacon on a different bird.
Okay.
Each beacon on a different bird.
Oh, I thought
Because
Paul was talking about one bird with
Oh,
two
no,
people
I don't
controlling
think
it.
That's what I was talking about, because
Yeah.
what you were talking about was doing a cinematic shot.
Hey, Hadley, how are you, brother?
And so the person, unless they knew how to fly, they wouldn't be able to switch the beacon to front view to rear view or whatever. Where if you were the actual producer or
Jerry
the
Freeman says, "Why
director,
stop it too?"
Hey,
you could
Hadley.
change it. Yeah.
Well, it's budget. That's essentially
That's
it.
true. At $1,000 a
Right.
pop
I mean,
plus.
And you know, that's for me. That's a really, you know, that only came up a couple years ago, so it's a really obscure point to even think about doing something. You know, to spend that much money on it. Nobody's come back to me and said, "Hey, let's do this again," where we're going to have somebody running through the forest.
But Curtis, don't
Great
you
for
think
shooting
that's
paintballs.
because we all know the limitations? So we just, if anybody even thinks that, is no, that's not going to happen.
Well, most of the time when I talk, and I should say these are really essentially adult kids that want to make these movies. They don't even really think about drone shots. Their whole thing is, okay, we're going to have you fly right up to the door and go through the front door. You know, they're thinking about what was that big helicopter shot on the not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the crazy one with what's his name, where the helicopter shot just takes forever flying over these mountains and it flies right up to this doorway.
Yeah.
That's about the only real drone shot. They're becoming more educated about it. But yeah, they don't really think about those shots. They don't really realize what a drone can do. They're more concerned about the acting and the special effects and that stuff.
That's why they pay. That's why they have a 107 pilot come in and they say, "This is the shot I want."
Yeah.
The only producer or anyone that I know that actually did any real drone flying was way back when the 3DR Solo, someone tried to use it to make a motion picture. They actually used the footage from it in the movie, and it was supposed to be some explosion. Maybe I can find the clip later, but it was supposed to be some explosion, and the drone followed this piece of paper that floated down to the ground, and it was a picture of someone who just died or whatever. But they're using drones in Hollywood. You see them every day on TV. You're drone pilots, and I don't know about you, but I watch TV and instinctively that was a drone shot. This was a drone shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my wife calls them out now. She goes, drone shot
without even thinking about it. It's second nature, because you know how a drone moves, you know the angle, and you know damn well a lot of these guys with champagne budgets, with champagne thoughts and beer budgets cannot afford a helicopter to do those shots. And drones are taking away that helicopter job. Who wants a noisy helicopter that you have to pay $6,000 for every half hour you're out there to keep it in the air?
So all those women's shows on Lifetime Channel and all that, and the Real Housewives and the what we call the reveal shot or the establishing shot that's done with a drone. Those are not done by professional drone pilots. Those are camera guys who went and got their 107 permit and learned how to fly a drone.
Yep.
Every one of them. I know a bunch of them right off the bat. The same with the NBC crew. I can tell you personally about those guys. It's not, they didn't hire a drone guy to do that stuff. It's the cameraman or the audio guy or somebody else that's on the set that learned how to fly.
You know what's the worst part about that? By FAA standards, he is a drone guy.
True.
Well, yeah, he is. I'm just saying that's the guy that got hired.
Well,
for
that's
the
the
job.
same thing here in New York, and it goes back to here in New York, the NYPD and the fire department are using drones. Right now, the fire department is using a tethered drone because they can keep the drone in the air longer. They can keep the drone in the air 45 minutes, an hour, while looking for hot spots and people, etc. NYPD. Most of the NYPD officers that I know personally that fly drones are applying for jobs and getting their 107 so they can do better stuff than what they're doing. You know, there are special jobs where they're now using NYPD, they're using drones, the NYPD, to do surveillance on areas and stuff like that. Cops are knocking down the door, yo. and they're getting their drones and they're getting their 107 licenses, and I'm happy for that. But it comes to a time and point where you got to say, when are they going to show us hobbyists any love?
If I mispronounce your name, I sincerely apologize, but Babajo W. You bring up a real good point, man. He says, I can imagine Skydio developing a professional grade drone that could create awesome shots in action movies. Essentially what he's saying is a better quality camera, even better controls than what they have. This is one of those things to where this is a newly developing company, newly emerging company with new technology that is not based off what DJI has done before. So as cool as the Skydio is right, the Skydio 2 is right now, can you imagine them in a year and a half where they're going to take this?
Well, if they don't sell it, it's going to be slow.
Well,
they're selling them. They're selling out of them. They can't make them fast enough.
But search and rescue and government agencies are licking their chops for Skydio 3, Skydio 4, because they're looking for ones that might be able to do a lot more, such as thermal imaging, such as maybe a changeable camera or the dual camera like was on the DJI Duo.
But bumped.
Okay.
But anyway,
what things is, well, see, it's hard to see. We try to keep the politics out of it, but the way things are going now, the door is they're trying to open the door for companies like Skydio.
Yeah, well, Robert's in the chat now, and he's very knowledgeable as far as the government side because he's the information officer at an air base, and he's one of the few people that has authorization to fly military air bases, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that is awesome.
But Robert said, the government is really pushing for government agencies to buy U.S. made and marketed drones like the Skydio.
Well, Paul, if you come out here, I can show you where you can fly over the military base.
It also kind of begs the question. So the product, the Skydio, is assembled here, and it was designed here in the United States, and then they sent out the manufacturing of the parts to China, and then it is assembled here in the United States.
See that?
Just to be clear on that. And they have, from what I understand, they have several different companies that they've farmed the work out to, so that not any one company can go, oh, we know how all this is made, we can steal it. You'll make this little piece and we'll have you make that little piece. And that may be part of why it's not being produced as fast as they wanted it to be. I kind of think it's because they want to keep the company small. And if they focus on just getting it right every time, every drone that goes out works and does what it's supposed to do, as opposed to trying to just mass produce it and make a money grab. There's got to be something said for that. But it was designed here in the United States. The parts were farmed out to multiple companies, not just China too, I should say. And then they're sent back to the United States, where they're assembled and programmed by people here in the United States. So made in America? Well, okay.
Yeah, right. Like we've always tried to stay away from that car that had like 100 different manufacturers involved in it.
You know what's kind of funny? They say when you buy a car in the United States, you buy an American car, you ask what day it was built on, because if it was built on Monday or Friday, you more than likely got a lemon. If you got a car Tuesday or Wednesday, it was probably put together better. And it's kind of funny. We need to get back to the state where when something was made in the United States, people applauded it and people supported it.
Well,
you understand?
When you talk about
what the problem with that is? Coming from the car industry is that a lot of people don't understand when they complain about the price.
Later, Rojo.
They complain about the price of a car. So a company will, let's say you buy a Camaro. Let's say the car was $30,000 last year. This year it's $25,000. They're finding cheaper vendors to make cheaper parts. The downfall.
Click that like button, guys.
The downfall of it is that the car that was last year would probably last longer than the car that's built this year because you have cheaper parts. That's where
Yeah,
I told you that, Lawrence.
that's where
yeah.
the recalls come from and everything like that.
Well, I seriously would like for Skydio to freaking blow up and come
Evening,
out
Rojo.
with their third drone and come out with their fourth. And I want to see them come out not with an answer to DJI, because DJI will come out with a drone for any situation. If you come out with a drone that's a vertical takeoff and does 100 miles per hour, I'm sure DJI has something in their research and development department that could probably counter that. Right. The point I'm trying to make is I wish Skydio the best of luck, and I hope that this drone is a success, because if it is, that might mean that we're back on the United States. Companies can get back on the market, and people can start back to buying stuff from the United States.
Lawrence, the drone is made from it's like a patchwork quilt.
True, but it's being put together here. What have we not used from China and Taiwan
Cars and
Japan
motorcycles
in our
and everything, yeah.
electronics?
No, I understand what you're saying to you, but like I'm saying, if you look at when you talk about a car and stuff like that, if you remember years in the past when you had so many different intricate parts being made all over the place, a lot of those things have.
Well, I think the one thing that's
Well, it's
got
flying
And
with
I'm
it.
not
It's-
saying that that's where this is going. I'm hoping that it's all right. I just
but
like
I
said,
think the
it's
one
not an
thing that's
American made thing.
I think the one thing that is
Who thinks the? Go ahead, Paul.
instead of saying American made, we should say it's an American designed, engineered, and produced.
You know what?
The processor's an NVIDIA processor. Where do you guys think that's made?
I know what that is.
I'm not saying
They don't make that in Sacramento.
I'm not saying that they do or they don't. All I'm saying to you is that if you look at where these, like this bill that they've just proposed here, if these things go any further, then that knocks things like this right out of the box, because they're talking about components, parts everywhere they're going with this. You know, they're already talking about putting down any drones that have any parts made outside of the United States, especially if they're made in China.
Well, then they need to take all the computers that they have at the government offices as well.
Exactly.
And get rid of those.
Exactly. Freaking exactly. You want to?
I don't care. Apple, Android. I don't care.
You're absolutely right.
And you know what would happen
what
if we
they're
did
doing
that?
when they're talking.
We would go back to the Stone Ages, because we don't produce nothing here. If we ever
But we have
did do
content
that.
creators.
We could do paper.
There you go.
Listen, let's get a drop in real quick. It's coming up on the hour. All right.
Paper.
All right, Justin, come on. Since you popped your acro cherry,
Let me
let's
practice.
go.
I got to practice first, though.
I want to hear you.
Those guys.
I want to hear you, Justin. No, seriously. I want to hear your voice loud.
Yep.
All right. I have a confession to make. I wanted to.
You brought a Mavic Mini.
Who, me? No.
Oh, all right.
No, I'm just saying with the whole not using the goggles. I didn't want to use the goggles at first because I just wanted to practice.
You know what we did?
Hovering
We
and
made him.
control.
You know what we did, Paul?
What?
Big John 314 has been. I've been showing him. I've been trying to show him how I progressed in FPV, and it worked. I came up with a formula, and it worked. And Justin the other day came out to fly with us. All of us were flying together, and John was like, "Yo, can I put it in stability mode?" And I'm like, "No, you flew in acro. If you put it in stability mode, I'm gonna smack it out your hand." So he started flying in acro, and then we were like, "Come on, Justin, you got to try it at least once." And Justin's like, "Well, I need more practice, hovering." And John was like, "Man, put the damn goggles on." I was going peer pressure. But to make a long story short, he did it. So let's get this drop in. But what's your confession though?
And he didn't want to put the goggles on.
I recommend anyone that's flying FPV to put goggles on.
Okay, that was the main
It makes
feature.
a big difference. So
That really
Here we
was.
go. Here we go now.
All right. I'm waiting on you, Justin, man.
Oh, it's my turn? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Sunday Nights with Those Guys is brought to you by
Those guys.
There we go. Thank you much. Much appreciated. We can pretty much freewheel it from here because we went into whether it's illegal to fly in New York or not. We also covered the Mavic Mini. We also covered Skydio. Only thing else out there that there is to talk about is the fact that New York City is trying to be the first city here in the United States to use a sky taxi. The company Uber is lobbying to get the first contract for the sky taxi from Manhattan to JFK International Airport.
You're saying in the United States or anywhere?
United States.
They're just trying for the United States here because they're already using air
I
taxis.
literally got off the phone with a guy an hour ago who does the underwater subs, and he's in Dubai right now, and they have those autonomous.
That's what I was saying. Here in the United States, in Dubai.
Okay.
The police.
I thought you were saying the first city anywhere. I was like, well, hang on, they've got them there now.
Oh no, they do have them in the world. I can't say, but here in the United States, they're trying to be the first. In Dubai, the police officers have the motorcycle bikes, the motorcycle hover bikes already. They do have the air taxis, but Uber is trying to be the first here in the United States because if it works in New York, everyone else is going to copy.
If it works in New York, it'll work anywhere.
Well, not really. It's usually, from what I come to find out, if it's usually New York or California that starts doing something, it trickles down. I mean, if I wear a clear bubble jacket and someone says, "Yo, that's hot," and because it's in New York, somebody somewhere else is gonna say, "Yo, this dude in New York wearing the clear bubble jackets. We got to find out where to get those." I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Eli Nunez, what's up? How are you?
Don't you think that it has to be also pushed in an area where there's a substantial number of younger techie kind of people? Because you couldn't go to a retirement community down in Florida and say, we're going to fly you. No way. I'm not getting me in that thing.
Well, it's funny. What happened, Herman?
Paul, you couldn't go to certain places in this country and open up a drone taxi company because who's going to be your customer?
Yeah.
It has to be called, for it to be, it's going to be expensive and somebody's got to be able to pay for it.
My buddy who works for Chasing, the company that makes the Gladius Mini, he said it was expensive and there was 3 people on the flight with him. And there is a person in there that can control the drone. It was autonomous the whole time, but he was prepared to take over the controls. It's essentially a helicopter. I mean, when you're looking at it.
Curtis, but it's just did he indicate to you in US dollars what it cost him?
No, he just said it's expensive, but he said he had to do it because it was there.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody should try it once, but I was just curious as to what kind of dollars it was. That's all.
He didn't say. He just said it's expensive, and then he went on to describe the flight and everything else. He said they gave him a choice of headphones, and he chose not to, and wish he had because it was loud.
Okay, well,
but he's an older guy too, though. So
check it out, Lawrence. Last week I mentioned a company called Volocopter. It's in Germany.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes this Vola City. It's a drone taxi. They make drone taxis. This is what they've been doing, and they made a drone that can carry heavy weight now for working purposes. So they've been doing the drone taxis, and somebody, like I said, this company Volocopter, they make them.
Want a cookie? Is that what you want?
My problem with them testing the air taxis here in New York are it's a great area to do this, but they're kind of cheating because we have so many buildings and skyscrapers. It's very easy to land. I mean, they stopped helicopter landings on rooftops many, many years ago and stuff, but they're eventually going to go back to that. Okay. They also used to dock blimps at the Empire State Building back in the day. They stopped that because of a major catastrophe.
Well, see, my thing is, and this is where I don't know where we're going with this, because as far as the drone taxi, I don't believe that a drone taxi is going to be able to get a clearance that a helicopter can't or hasn't already gotten.
Well, what the funny thing?
And
Go ahead.
they're trying to stop helicopters now from passing over Manhattan.
That's what I was going to bring up.
So if
We
they
have the same
stop
thing
the
in-
helicopters from passing over Manhattan, you're not getting that damn drone taxi over Manhattan. And where is it going to land? It has to land in some of the same areas that these
That the
helicopters already
heliports are
landed in. So
along
what's
the water.
the difference?
Along the water.
I mean, is it cheaper than the helicopter ride? Because I'm quite sure the helicopter can get you there quicker.
Well, if you take out the cost of the pilot, you've really reduced a lot of your
And
costs,
the cost of fuel.
and the cost
you
of
said
fuel.
there was a guy in the one that your friend
Because this is still, they're still learning how to do this, and it's still
I've
kind of
seen
a
these
beta
drone
program.
taxis.
Yeah, it's still a beta program. It's not 100%. Hey, we're going to just do this from now on. They're taking the right steps to go through this thing. But eventually, you think about it. You don't have to pay a guy a salary to be there. You don't have to pay, his health benefits and all that stuff. You don't have to worry about him taking sick days and somebody covering. So that's a major expense that you get rid of if you can get this approved and done.
But what the thing is, what
The
the
smart
hell are
thing
they
to
gonna
do would be for these
charge?
helicopter companies to start having these things.
But see, what I'm thinking, what the hell are they going to charge? Because a helicopter flight here in New York for a 45-minute flight starts at about $800. Okay, so now if
You
you're
can
going
get
to
them
take
for
a
cheaper than
taxi,
that.
now if you're going to take a helicopter, I don't know what it costs. You know what? I'm going to Google
You
that.
can get them for
What
cheaper
does it
than that.
cost for a helicopter ride from Manhattan to JFK Airport? And you probably have to multiply that by 2 or 3. Because it's going to cost to run these freaking drones, those air taxis.
Well, and I would also imagine too that the insurance for the air taxi is going to be much higher initially until they get, because they all work on an algorithm of how much problems they have, what kind of
Exactly.
liabilities.
And there's nothing
Google,
you can
how
tell
much
them
does
the
it
failure
cost to
rate.
take a helicopter ride in New York City?
Well, in New York City,
There's
Here's
hundreds
a
of
summary
different
from Free
places.
Tours by Foot. How much does a helicopter ride cost in NYC? There's no denying that
I got it.
helicopter
I
rides
got
are
it, guys.
costly. Tickets
From
cost $200 per person and usually
I have
only last 12
195
to
here, so
15
that sounds
minutes.
about right. That's just a helicopter ride from Wall Street, West 30th Street, or 34th Street. You can fly to LaGuardia Airport or JFK Airport, and it's $195. So that $200 price mark is pretty much on, because
Well, here's the question I would have. If, and you might know this, you
there's an
guys,
app.
you in New York, what would it cost for a first class taxi ride from that same location to LaGuardia?
Oh,
or-
it used to be $50 from Manhattan to any airport, to LaGuardia
There was
Airport and to JFK International.
Yellow
It
still
used to
has the
be.
flat rate.
Right. Now
But
they're all
Uber and
using
them
it.
surge depending on the amount of traffic to those areas.
Right. So let's ask that. How much for a cab from Manhattan? Okay.
See, and there's a third
JFK.
equation too that maybe Curtis, you could find out how much for a limousine from Manhattan to the airport.
The flat rate fee
That's not a limousine.
isn't. Here it is.
How much does it
Taxi.
take? How much does it cost to take a limousine in New York City?
Limousine. Well, it says for regular
According to
taxi
Brilliant
from
Transportation,
Manhattan to
the
JFK
prices
is
can range anywhere from
$52.
$70 to $120 per hour. With the nicer the vehicle
In a
and
limo.
more exclusive the limo companies
And
charging
that's in
on
a
the higher
limo.
end.
A regular taxi is $52 to $65 depending on the time of day and traffic.
So what I'm figuring is that if you wanted, like say, a black Lincoln, you didn't want the divider thing inside there, and you just wanted to go to the airport, probably the $125.
And here's well, all I know is it'll be interesting to see what they charge and how they do it. But
Well,
Geeks
you don't
Vana
want to
is
call
here
Uber.
from the UK. I wanted to ask him. They just passed a rule, the DOI or whatever their FAA is, the CAA over there, and now in order to fly a drone legally, you have to register and take a test. And I wanted to know if you're going to do any news reports on that particular topic, Geeks Vana, Sean, because I would be interested to know what the hell everyone's doing over there. Are they actually going to go take the test and the questionnaire, or do they
Hey
even have
Google,
it
who is
established yet?
hashtag those guys?
According to CNBC.com. But the concept of tagging social media groups or topics with a hashtag is credited to one man, Chris Messina.
Oh,
He's a product designer who
there are vids on your channel. Okay, I'm going to have to go through your channel and look at those, because that, I believe they should bring that here to the United States. Seriously,
What?
the FAA. You want to fly a drone, you register it, and you take a test.
Oh, it is coming. They've already said that. It's coming.
Herman says it'll be here soon.
No, they already said that. It's coming.
Well, we have a 107.
Sean says there's a lot of hate for it there,
hobbyists.
but it's not that, Paul. It's exactly that point. I don't think it's fair to 107 pilots to have to go through what they have to go through to fly and make money. And here you have hobbyists flying all over the place. I believe hobbyists, and if you fly a UAV vehicle, you should have to register it and you should have to take a test to show you know how to use the damn thing.
Yep.
Because there's too many people. We had it this summer with a tourist. He came here from wherever he was in Europe. Billy Kyle, what's good? What if it's 249 grams? Well, Billy, you already know, Billy, if it's 249 grams and you put, what are those damn things? Prop guards on, you do have to register it, don't you?
What if you paint it with crayons?
But what's good, Billy? In fact, wait a minute. If you got some time to be here, then you got some time to get on the panel. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Well, and the other thing too is that my understanding is if you're a 107 pilot, and I don't, to make a difference what you fly, you've got to register the drone, whether it's underweight or not, and you have to be a 107 pilot to make a dime with it.
Has anybody thought about? I mean, this is kind of a stretch to say this, but has anybody thought about maybe that possibly because it is 249 grams, that maybe that was DJI just thumbing their nose at the FAA because of all the problems that our government has created for DJI?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Can you say that louder?
Yes.
I agree.
Somehow I kicked myself out of the meeting, but listening as I'm building a new set for YouTube, dude.
Well, we want to see
by
that.
now you could hire some dudes to come in there while you sat down and got your munch on or something.
Well, you can give us a preview of the set, Billy. Come on, jump on real quick.
You can give us a preview of something, man. Or
Mr. Crowley and Night Train.
He says he's building his set. I have a few questions for you. And Billy, I appreciate the lookout earlier, man. But like I said, because the only Monday that I did pick to work to try and make some extra money, something like this happens. Murphy's Law has a lot of great laughs at my expense. That's all I can say. Seriously. I mean, any other time I'm home on a Monday or have nothing to do. Drone X Factor, no registration necessary if you use Japan weight and 49 grams lighter, 18 minutes battery life, then throw your prop guards if you still be under 250 grams. I don't know about that. Can someone elaborate on that? He says no. Now, what I just said was it's 249 grams. Okay. Which means in order to use those prop guards and keep it under 250 grams, you'd have to use a cheaper battery. Who's going to put in a cheaper battery? Everyone wants to fly longer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, did you guys have anything to say about that?
I wouldn't take a lesser battery. I mean, more battery time means you have more time to find your shot.
I need a damn soundboard. So when you guys get quiet, I just play the cricket soundboard.
I'm sorry, we're not answering fast enough.
But this thing with the
I mean,
229
I would
it's-
not be surprised if we heard from the FAA real soon. It says all drones 230 grams.
All drones.
no,
Or all
try
drones, yeah.
all drones because I have drones here. This
Well, you
big
kind of
ball
run into
here-
the you do run into the toy drone market where the Walmart drones and stuff like that. Do we need people to
Adrian
register for
Mateo.
those?
What's up?
You see what Geeks Vana said?
What happened?
Look in the track what Geeks Vana said. There was
Read what he said, dude.
There's a special edition released in Japan. It's only 199 grams with a small battery. The reg started in Japan in 200 grams, I guess, in Japan. So
Okay.
it's like
The registration starts at 200. It's all right. And
So
it's
they got
the same
so they
version.
got it smaller, or they got it lighter in Japan.
they're probably using a different battery, probably.
That's what
That's
it
what
is.
he's saying,
And that's
yeah.
the point. That's the point Drone X Factor was bringing up, I'm guessing. That if you put in a cheaper battery, it's less than 250 and all of that. Dude, to be honest, you shouldn't make that thing any lighter. You make it any freaking lighter than that, you might as well launch a paper plane off your roof because you're not going to see it anymore.
Because they had a video on YouTube, or I think it was on Facebook, showing torture tests with that thing. And they're like throwing freaking apples, bananas.
Yeah, they're chopping bananas and stuff. That was just abuse of a drone, man. I mean, he had nothing else better to do. He had about 2 or 3 of them, and I saw he was pouring water on it and stuff.
Water and
That's going. No comment. I'm not even going to comment. Hey, Katie.
Hey,
How are you, Katie?
Hi, Katie.
Anyway, you're watching Sunday Nights with those guys. DJI makes a
Those
battery
guys.
for Japan, for the Japan Mini. In Japan, 200 grams and over needs to register.
When I had the original Phantom, I was lucky to get 10 minutes. Six was the average.
Right.
18 minutes is fine.
Well, also, X Factor, the drone rules are a lot different in Japan than they are here in the States. And to be honest, Japan only makes up a small part of the market. DJI sells 85% of their drones outside of Japan. And guess what weight those drones are? I mean, I don't know how special they are to have their own drone made for 199 grams and it's an 18-minute battery as opposed to a half hour. But I came from, and you came from Drone X Factor, and you, Justin, those 15-minute batteries on the 3DR Solo. And the first time you got a battery that flew over 15 minutes, you never went back.
working those 3DR Solo batteries.
You know, in fact, talking about that, I can't give away this damn battery, 3DR Solo. This thing's been sitting here
sure you can.
for the longest. And no, I'm not going to go to the 3DR Solo group on Facebook and give it away. I'd rather give it to someone here in New York that has a 3DR Solo
Okay. Well,
that can use it.
is there anybody in the chat that has one?
Anybody needed 3?
Well, probably not. Hey, I mean, my Solo's down in the islands living better than I am. You know.
Send
You
it
got
to
any
him.
plugs for a live stream? Anyone?
Send it to-
Curtis?
Send it to the guy down in the islands.
I got something we can discuss.
I had lost contact with him. He came here, he brought the drone. I gave him the 3 batteries I had, all the accessories and everything. And he showed me a picture of my drone flying down in the islands. And that was the last I contacted him for. What's this? Countdown? Your countdown timer? 4.
Well, it kind of brings up my next my idea for a little bit of conversation between us.
Okay.
Without naming names or saying who's who and who's where. But if you have a person that is your friend and is still your friend, and you have a business agreement with this person and they break the business agreement, how do you deal with it? Do you look at it as a friend and go, oh, well, we're friends? Or do you go, you just broke the very covenant of what we talked about doing?
Well, that's a big issue when friends try to create a business, because 9 out of 10 times it fails because of the one side that says, "Oh, I don't want to be involved in this anymore."
Wasn't it Scrooge that says that you have to keep everything separate? Don't go into business with friends.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I mean,
Because
it all depends on what they've done. I mean, and what was the agreement?
Friends and family and business are a no-no.
How
Plain
bad
and
they
simple.
violated it.
It was
friends and
the
family are always going to be involved in your business.
it was the number one agreement at the very beginning that was broken.
Well,
The very top, here's what we don't want to do. And he did it. And I was like, okay.
well, you might have to call the person on it.
Well, I did. And I've not heard back.
Oh,
So
do they live close by?
it's gonna happen.
no. But
Did
they
you
won't
put it-
be.
Did you put out a contract on them, or what? What did you
No,
do?
no. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's nothing heart wrenching or end of the world kind of thing. It's just we entered into a business agreement, and they reneged on their part of the agreement. So now I'm like, okay, I don't dislike the person. I still like them as a friend, but I'm just thinking at this point maybe I should not do anything business wise with friends.
Yep, that's what they say.
Yep.
All right. Drone X Factor pointed out something about that drone in Japan. And he says it's the same drone, the battery's lighter, and then you only get 18 minutes, but it stays under 200 grams. So if you want to fly with the prop guards on, it still stays under 250 grams. And I responded back, but you can only get it in Japan. Is this true, Drone X Factor, or what? Because right now, unless you know someone in Japan that can purchase it and send it here, DJI is not sending that lighter drone here to the United States when the limit is 250. What happened?
Is it the drone or the battery?
I think it's just the battery.
It's the
Yeah,
battery.
would that
okay.
battery work with this drone? We're talking about registration though. That's the only difference. Why
Why for $5
push?
are you worried about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, if you own other drones, it doesn't
Yeah,
make a difference.
and Herman is 100% right. Just like what you're saying too, Wizard, is that how can anybody get excited about registering when 99% of us, I would imagine, that are on these talks, we're all registered anyway with the FAA. They've got all our info. Why wouldn't you just go with the flow?
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's you're just registering that you have a drone. It's responsible. It's the thing to do. Why is it such a bad thing?
Yeah,
I just don't understand that.
people despise it. Like, why do I?
Sean says in Japan you can fly higher under 200 grams, so it's a bigger deal there. I don't know if I would want to take 200 grams up but so high. I've seen what happens to drones when they get caught by the air, and it depends on how high you're talking.
There it goes.
You're saying I can go over 400 feet with this toy drone?
Right.
You can make it.
It would probably burn a half the battery getting up to 400 feet.
Yeah,
fighting the wind. You know,
I would think the coming down part would be the problem.
It's personal preference, because I have seen people with toy grade drones at 200 and 300 feet and stuff like that, and which I don't understand. But of course they have FPV. But my problem is, I don't know if I want to go through all that trouble.
Well,
to fly a toy grade drone just to keep from registering it.
Well,
you
remember when
understand
the
what I'm saying?
first came out?
Like I said, if
It's
you're
great.
a hobbyist and you have other drones, then it doesn't make a difference. Registered or non-registered, it. You understand? You're still using your same old
But
number.
like Paul said, if right, I have everything that I fly in my supply in my arsenal. Everything has a registration number on it. Okay, and if I can take the time out and put a registration number on each and every device, everyone else should be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't see what the big deal is about.
It's not a big deal for me. The Night Train says on CBS News, they just showed a plane landing itself, no hands or any controls. They've been doing that for a while. It's just that they don't suggest it.
And
It's
they,
just
they
like,
don't advertise it either.
right, they don't advertise it. 9 out of 10 pilots, as soon as they take off and get to a substantial altitude, they put it on auto. And it's the same thing. You guys saw the picture of this guy, the Asian guy in the Tesla like this, knocked
Yep.
out and
Yeah.
traveling at 60 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
You're not supposed to do it when you have a self-driving car, but people
That's
do it.
crazy. When that other guy's Tesla drove up underneath a tractor trailer, I'm
Yeah.
not falling asleep in that thing. You crazy.
Well, what's going to happen is if the self-driving cars comes to fruition, you're going to have drunks behind the wheel saying, "I'm not driving, the car's driving. Ticket the car. I'm just a passenger."
Like I said, the Sky, just like cell phones have done to us, the Skydio that flies itself,
The insurance
these
company-
self-driving cars are making us dumber, because the less you have to think, the more you rely on that device, and
Well,
that's when shit starts happening.
well, and
Plain
the other
simple.
thing I guess we'll have to disagree is it doesn't necessarily make us dumber. It opens up the possibilities to us becoming
Okay, Paul, I'm
more.
sorry. The views and
more-
opinions that are heard tonight are not necessarily the views and opinions of everyone on the panel tonight.
Well,
it just opens us up to being
Lawrence,
more.
Yeah.
like
yeah.
I said, insurance companies are going to get involved heavily when this starts.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how throughout the time they've adjusted to the different features that have been put into cars and giving you discounts and breaks for these things. How is that going to play out with the insurance company? You're still going to be considered the operator of the vehicle.
Right.
So if anything was to ever happen and you have this self-driving car and you are drunk, I don't know how that's going to play out.
Drone X Factor put, the FAA was encouraging drone manufacturers to make drones under 250 grams, and they will consider allowing commercial operators to fly over people. Well, someone else help me here. I'm not tongue tied, but I'm trying to put together how I would answer this. Right now, commercial operators.
I don't think that's a fact.
This is I'm trying to find words for this. That's why.
Well, okay, let me read through this here. Fun fact: the FAA was encouraging drone manufacturers to make drones under 250 grams, and they will consider allowing commercial operators to fly over people.
Keywords was
with prop guards.
Well, I'll say this. What I do know for a fact, and I said this before, that Para Zero, the people who make the parachutes, they have gotten 40 waivers approved for flying over people because of that parachute.
Yep. All you have to do is put this parachute on, and you could probably get a waiver to fly in certain places. Also, is here in New York easier than if you didn't have a parachute.
Now, when there was the talk about implementing this ability to fly over people, the talk was having a fully enclosed prop. That was one of the things that I heard mentioned.
Yeah.
Which means you got to put prop guards in your bird. I understand that, and I respect that.
And it has.
If you put prop guards when you're in indoors, why not do it if you're going to be flying over people? The problem is they've already proven that a drone falling from the sky could probably do no more damage than a few scratches and cuts and bruises.
Well, if you remember, they talked about the speed of its fall, its descent, to the weight of the drone.
Right.
That's what they also mentioned. That I didn't quite hear anything about drones under. They did mention certain weights, but that was just for the criteria of what of that height. They mentioned in certain heights, and that drone and the speed of its travel to the floor of failure.
Yeah.
The ground. Right.
I
and
wish
this is all determined by the manufacturers of these drones.
I wish there could have been some logistics on the drone that fell out of the sky here in New York. The battery went this way and the camera went that way. Remember that incident, Herman?
Oh.
I mean, the only logistics that we had were that the drone's top speed was 50 miles per hour on impact.
He does have a slight point on that because they were talking about that.
Well,
It was still the same old weight thing.
But the key word, they were encouraging drone manufacturers. Drone manufacturers don't want to build toys. They don't want to go into the toy company business. And that's probably why it didn't come to fruition. I mean, if you think about it, the average consumer, and I say consumer drone out there weighs 2 pounds or better.
And you got to think about it, putting those cages on adds a lot of weight. So your flight time is going down. So
Well, it's not. It's flight time's not an issue. I mean, I learned how to make videos with 15 minutes flight time, you know, when I had the 3DR solo, and that 15 minutes was really cut down to about 11 or 12 minutes, or even 10 minutes, depending on the situation and the wind. So the flight time shouldn't really be an issue when it comes to flying drones. Whether you can stay up in the air for an hour or a half hour or 15 minutes, you learn to work with what the hell you got. Prop guards or not prop guards, I still think it's a bad idea to fly over people. I agree. I agree with you, Eli, but how many times you see it?
people want.
How many times you see it in a video? You know, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I was working on Long Island the other day, and I saw a GoPro Karma. I didn't even know these things are still in existence.
Oh yeah.
The GoPro Karma was flying over me at about 150 feet, and what made me look up was the fact that the props sounded different from DJI props. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a Karma. You see this little black nub in the front of it, but he was flying over people with no problem. And
Well, what if they're zombies?
It was probably some kid who got the drone as a gift and decided to take it up. What happened, Curtis?
What about zombies, though?
Are they considered people, or is, I don't know, are they dead? So
Are zombies people too?
I mean,
that's what we need to figure out.
They're dead people. Why not?
so years ago, back about Phantom 2 time, before we were discussing flying over people or anything like that, and one of these $0 million budget movies that I always get involved in, there is a scene where this human man and woman dive into this broken down car, and the zombie horde descends upon the car. The windows are up and the zombies are all trying to get in, probably about 30 zombies. And the director says, got any cool ideas? I go, yeah, put the drone right above the car. All the zombies are trying to climb over the car to get in. Shot took about 2 seconds. Now it would be, you know, big trouble, but this was back then. But I just thought it was funny. Zombies.
Well, no, you wouldn't get in trouble because they're involved in the project.
Well, this is back, 5-6 years ago, before we had all these don't fly over moving cars. We had all the guidance from the FAA that we currently have. So, I mean, you could complain about it, I guess. I should go find that footage and show it to you guys.
I get what you're saying.
No, it's actually really cool footage.
The thing of it is now you would think twice about it, Curtis, and maybe
exactly
same shot, but off a little bit to the rear or to the front or to the sides.
Yep.
Where you weren't directly over them.
We did,
because they're involved in the project.
Well, we did go through a whole safety meeting with them and everything else, and we did talk about what could go wrong and what to look for. We had people staged along the way. We even had an ambulance that was there in case, and it was not just there because of the drone. It was there because there was fear of, there was a lot of running in the scenes and stuff like that, and they were worried that somebody would pull a hamstring or whatever. So there was a lot of concern that was going on into this, and there was a lot of people involved in this production. Let's see if I can find this real quick, because I think you guys will like this.
Who said the Mavic Air is a toy? Well, it's how much does the Mavic Air weigh? I have no idea. Is the Mavic Air under 250 grams?
No.
No, I didn't think it was.
It's
Who said the Mavic Air
725 grams or something.
What happened?
I think it's like 785 grams, 725.
Okay, because I saw he had put the Mavic Air is in a toy.
So I'm going to show this clip if you don't mind. It was done in 2015. Actually, it wasn't done in 2015. That was when I released it. It was actually 2014 when we filmed this. So here you go. There's 2 cuts. And then the second cut comes up here in a second. I think it does. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. There you go. Boom.
Okay.
Zombies.
So does it include zombies? Yeah, I'd have to say in that case it includes zombies.
Yeah, okay.
Especially zombies being played by normal people. Cool, Bick. What's up?
What's up, Bick?
What the bees like? What the bees like?
How are you, brethren?
What's
So
good?
when you switch into the world of FPV, boy.
Nah, I ain't doing that.
I
Nah, I ain't doing that.
know you're a cameraman.
Yeah,
And Paul, you don't ever have to worry about Cool Big switching to FPV.
nah,
Yeah.
that's
That I
not
do.
gonna happen.
Those girls he's hanging around, he wants to go nice and slow and get them on video. Not
Right on.
Here you go, baby. Cinematic, baby.
cinematic,
Cinematic.
man. Cinematic.
Cinematic.
They get mad when they see that shit coming. They be like, what the? Nah, I'm good.
Mavic Air is 430 grams. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I got one. I got one, Lars. I'm going to show you the next time I see you.
All right. All right. All right.
You're gonna be surprised. You're going to be surprised.
You show me some damn Mavic Mini, I'm gonna slap it out your hand.
I was hanging out with Billy Cow. We both pushed him up in the air. Like you saw Billy's video, right?
Yeah.
Yo, that footage is for 2K footage is kind of crazy though, for real.
The 2.7, I'll agree. The camera
looks really good.
the camera is better than the
Yeah.
Spark. I agree. They did do their thing with the Mavic Mini. I don't have a purpose for it.
Hey,
I'd
Herman.
have more of a purpose for Skydio than I would a Mavic Mini.
Herman is taking bets on how soon it'll be, because now that
Here we
he's
go.
never ever gonna have one,
Here we go.
or he has one, right, Herman?
We heard that before, right, Paul?
Yes, we did, Nick.
Okay. Just want to make sure I ain't crazy. You know what I mean?
All right, you did say that. I did say something similar to that about the Mavic series, and I wound up with a Mavic Pro, which I still own proudly, and I do plan on getting a Mavic 2 Pro.
Yeah.
I do admit that, but
Okay.
Oh,
I will not.
We don't hold it against you.
I will not invest in a tie clip, a flying tie
We
clip.
we look at it as though we are witnessing the evolution of Lawrence.
Yeah, the reason why I
You
got
witnessed
it,
the evolution of me. You're in trouble.
it's basketball season on the indoor, so it's gonna work fine for me on the indoor in these gyms, man.
There you go, Ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It's gonna work perfect for me in those indoor
It's like
gyms.
another thing in your toolkit, you know.
Yep.
Yours, Lawrence?
Just to change the subject, you know it's snowing in Green Bay, right?
It's supposed to snow when? Wednesday?
You get yours?
Yeah, it's supposed to snow here and it is. Hey, Eli says, "What's up, Ray?"
What's up, Eli?
Yeah, Eli brought some food to that barbecue, and I must admit, Eli, whoever made that put their foot in it.
He did good, huh?
Yes, man. Yes. Just the thought of that barbecue make me want to barbecue right now.
Yeah,
So what's good, Ray? How was your week, man?
Yeah, it's good, man. You know, busy. Went to switching over, 100, 200, 300 boilers need firing up and cleaned out. Everybody want to wait till the last minute.
Oh, that's right. Everybody's went through the winterization thing.
Yeah. When I go to everybody like in September, the end of August, let me take care of your stuff now. Nah, we don't want it. We don't want it. The other day it hit cold, forget about it.
Now everybody want their boilers looked at.
Yeah, but they, I'm like halfway through, so they get it when I get it.
Okay. Well, those of you who don't know, there is a no-fly zone currently going on here in New York, which started yesterday at 8:45 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Mr. 45 came in and decided to stay in his building in Manhattan, and no-fly zone to be over when? Tuesday at 6 p.m., something like that. I don't remember. I don't remember, but it's close to that. What's up, Explicit FPV? How are you, brother?
Six-ish.
My only problem is before I was flying a drone, someone important coming to the city wouldn't affect me.
Well,
Now
except,
that I fly, I'm like,
except
come on.
your
And today
current
was
ma-
perfect weather.
your current mayor wants to be the president, but he did drop out, thank God. But he spends more time at the gym in New York City than he does at City Hall. So if he were president, he'd be there all the time.
Hey,
It'd
leave
never
the-
be a-
You know
Leave-
what, Paul? If he became president,
It's time to leave the
he would
country.
ruin all the uncontrolled airspace here in New York.
Yeah.
How can you respect
Right here
a
in
man?
Brooklyn.
Hold on. How can
You
you
know that, right?
respect a man
Right?
that eats? How can you respect a man that eats pizza with a fork?
Right, you see where his house is, right?
Yep.
Plain and simple. I do not respect anyone who eats pizza with a fork.
He's gonna go back
I'm
there.
sorry, I can't.
City Hall.
Well, it depends upon how thick that sucker is. I've seen
No,
some
Paul,
thick
Paul,
pizzas.
no, Paul.
Who ate pizza with a
Paul.
knife before?
If
man?
you buy
Listen, I
pizza,
just want to
Not
say one
Chicago.
thing, Lon. I don't know if you ever had a slice from Ray's Pizza. It is too big to fold in your hand. There's too much cheese on it to do anything but burn your face. You have to eat this pizza with a fork. I promise you. Check out a Ray's Pizza.
no,
I'm
you're
telling you,
talking about one of those super.
there.
That's
Bro,
understandable.
you
That's
gotta have a
reasonable.
fork. There's no way you eating that folded up. No way.
That in that exception, that's understandable.
But just
But the
say,
piece he had looked like it came from Domino's, bro.
Justin laughing his butt off over there saying, well, once again, Lawrence had to backtrack just a little bit.
Yeah, Ray's Pizza. Forget about it, man.
Hey, Justin, I might be able to give you your frame back, man. I don't know just yet. I might be able to give you your frame back. I will find out in 2 days.
Paul,
All right. And only because it is high enough to hold my stack and the VTX and all that stuff. But I'm thinking, like I said, to get maybe a 6 or 7 inch now for that bird. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, that damn Mavic Mini.
You heard him the other day, right?
That's in
Don't need
Lawrence's
nothing to Go
future.
that fast.
Mark our words, right,
I
Ray?
don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't need nothing to move.
Here we
My,
go.
my only thing about it is that the numbnuts out there are going to use this as an opportunity to try to fly. Think they're not going to be seen. You see, that's my only thing about it, man. You know what I mean? People putting up videos and taking the steam 3,200 feet out. That's the only thing I'm thinking people are going to be trying to get away with, and you're going to find yourself in a problem.
Yep.
Well, but this is where in the problem. What'd you say, Herman?
That thing is so small that a pigeon could take it out.
Yeah. Yeah, but the way they done water balloons and stuff out like they did the other one looked like it was withstand a few things, man.
Listen, the only thing that those Mavic Minis are good for is pull. Pull.
go ahead, David.
There we go.
Shit.
There we go. What is that? The views and opinions of
All right. The views and opinions that are heard tonight are not necessarily the views and opinions of everyone on the panel. I'll eat that one.
Yeah, you've been eating a couple lately. Yeah, man.
Listen, we got about 17 minutes left of Sunday nights with those guys. I thought you'd be watching football, Ray, but you're basketball.
No. I'm watching football, but my Raiders they beat them boys up on Thursday, so we got an off Sunday. But I just watched Kansas City lose, so that puts us in the whoop whoop. You know what I mean? I watched some Giants and them Jets. You know what I mean? Sorry, Herm, but you know.
Yeah, I did. If you fly, you should want to be seen. It's
so
safer.
Tonight at 10:30, I got the Lakers playing. We 7-1 right now, looking pretty good, baby.
Okay. Hey, Damon Warren, thanks for coming in. We gave him the link to the live stream last week. Okay, thanks for coming back. I was trying
Matt said why he got to come in live stream before he can get a wrench, and all the other groups gave him a wrench outright. What's up?
What happened? Oh, because and on those guys, unlike the other groups, they don't care about being hacked or kicked out of their own group or blocked from their own live stream. Here, in order to get a wrench, you got to come on the panel. And he's more than welcome to join the panel. He was the first one here before we started the live stream.
Oh yeah, always on Sunday.
Okay.
He at
Now,
work, you know.
if he's the first one here to join the live stream, he could also go live from his cell phone or wherever.
True. Yeah, true.
True.
True. Very true.
Rules
very
are
true.
rules.
Very,
we
very
do not
true.
give everyone a wrench here, because when you go to these other live streams and you give everyone a wrench, for example, I could go to Canadian Drone Hub's live stream right now if he was live and kick 20 people out and nobody could do a damn thing about it. I could block and kick 20 people out before you even catch on. Here, at least we know you're on a panel. You got your email. Your email tells where you live. No, let me stop. I'm just playing. Seriously, we would love to have Matt on here too.
Time for a disclaimer again.
We would love to have Matt on. You know what? I'm going to speak to him about getting him on here, because he's here every Sunday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and
he
take
off lunch. He be on lunch. He makes sure he take lunch at that time.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
Explicit FPV. We can get you on here too. We've had FPV pilots on there. We had Hadley's famous FPV. Who else? Hadley's famous. I tried to get Night Train on. We've had a few FPV guys on here. That's not an issue. We'll work it out. I'll get your email. In fact, Explicit, hit me up through email and say this is me, and we'll work out getting you on here, because we do want to have an FPV section on Sunday nights with those guys, whether it be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever, which would kind of be good. And also, when we don't have nothing to talk about, we can always go FPV. That's for sure. But I don't know how you guys are handling this no-fly zone in here in New York, but I'm getting tired of someone telling me when I can't fly. I'm
good with it, man. I got
I'm getting a Mavic Mini, damn it.
You got million tons of footage. Do some editing, boys. Pump your brakes, man.
You hear, Paul? I'm getting a Mavic Mini just so I can fly during a no-fly zone.
Yeah, you're gonna get back with that too.
Here we go.
No, that won't happen.
Hey, Herman, see, he's turning. He's starting to evolve again.
Creeping.
Yep.
Yeah, but he went left with it. He still wants to fly during the TFR.
Oh man. So there's a question. So FPV drones don't follow up in that rules of TFR flying?
Sure,
of course they do.
Yes,
Okay,
Of course they do.
I just want to make sure.
Flying is
Of
flying.
course they
Okay,
do.
that's why I said a drone is a drone. Okay.
Yo, hold on, Ray, your boy,
Unless you're.
Can I say one thing first?
Ray, your boy,
You
X
tell
Drone
him.
Factor said the Lakers are trash. Just kidding.
Yeah, okay. Look at I know he's kidding right now because everybody expects us not to be there. But anyway, back to that FPV. Why are we flying drones, FPV drones in the TFR though?
You tell them.
Who?
I'm asking whoever was flying them today. Like, is a drone or no? Like,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't flying. Do you know someone who was?
I don't know what's today, yesterday, what it was.
Yesterday, but we flew yesterday before the no-fly zone. The
But
no-fly
today,
zone
though,
started.
anybody? I'm just saying. Period. Like, is that
Unfortunately, there were people flying here in New York City.
Flying is flying, Ray, but you tell an FPV pilot that he falls under that same criteria. And
I'm telling him he is. I'm telling him he is, and he can't tell me he not. Prove to me you're not. And that damn bird probably heavier than my Maverick Pro with all that shit on it.
Oh well,
excuse my language.
I didn't know anyone was flying today.
Because people was asking me, because one dude asked me, he said, yo, I could fly that. I said, yo, bro, a drone is a drone. Like, you can't fly a drone. I don't care if it got GPS or not.
Unfortunately, a lot of FPV guys here in New York don't feel they fit under those rules, but the true FPV pilots do follow the rules.
Yeah, because they figure they ain't not that high in the sky, but still in all, like you're up there, and that thing coming at a speed like that, it should be more not use those than regular drones, you know?
Well, I'm just getting into the FPV thing, so I have
That's why I ain't buying one.
why? Because other people fly during the TFR.
Because he's just now getting into it. That's why you're not going to get into it.
Does the Tello count? Is the Tello under 250 grams? I don't know.
The Tello is lighter than 2 nickels. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tello's a toy.
Tello
You
is
say
shit.
you could
I
wear the
could blow on
Tello.
the Tello, it's gonna go off the radar.
You say you could wear the Tello like earrings?
The Tello's
Yeah,
a toy, but you can
Tello's a
see
toy.
further than it can go.
Exactly. That thing is Bluetooth. It ain't going far. But I was just asking because people asked me. I was like, "Yo, you got a drone? It's a drone. You can't fly, bro. So don't even ask me that."
You
The
know
only
what?
thing you can
It's-
do, the only DJI or DJI related drone you can fly is the Tello during the temporary flight restriction.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, and not even the Mini, the Tello. Yeah,
Because that really can't. It can't even get into airspace. You couldn't even throw something at like a nickel and hit it.
yeah. That's why I keep my little buddy wherever I go.
Yeah, it
He
can't
don't
go
leave
too
my
far
side.
away from you.
Yeah, and that's why I good. Like I just be buzzing around, man.
Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Buzzing around, man.
Give me a second. I
got
will
like
be
3 of
right
those things.
back.
Where you going?
I have to answer something.
Okay.
Well, you see, they got the new one out here, where you can fly like 3 of them on one single remote. You know.
Okay.
And how them doing tricks and everything at the same time. Oh, it's crazy. Oh.
What's that? Boiling water or underwater?
Wanna make some rice?
Look out. The
Yeah,
fish
man.
is checking out that thing serious, like they want to attack it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna stick to
Oh, Justin. Oh, not Justin. I mean, Curtis is submersible. They're swarming because the next time you take that sucker back in their home, they're gonna get you.
Yeah, I know. No, I had to put something on. I'm taking a bite to eat real quick. The
Oh,
wife just
not a
walked in.
problem.
Wife just walked in and said, "Here's your burger." No,
Right, here you go. Golf it down.
Hello is not a drone.
Hey, explicit tiny whoops don't count. You can fly those. Those don't count. These little things right here.
How far did it go?
You couldn't get it higher than
Come
100
on, Herm.
feet.
Talk that talk, Herm. What do you say?
How far does it go?
Yeah. Herman's on it like the Green Hornet.
With your radio, only about 25 feet.
All right.
25 feet for that particular one.
That's why I said that Mavic Mini, that's not a toy, man.
Nope.
It's not a toy.
Nope.
you want to know what's funny? We talk about flying near airports and who controls the airspace and all that fun stuff. When I got into the underwater drones, I thought, whew, I got a break now. Nope, not true. Went to a pier and was diving off the pier. This is a public pier, and there was a private pier across from me. The owner of the private pier came over and says, "You can't have that thing in my water."
His water. He controls the water. Huh?
Right. He's like, he controls the water. So I did some research and a talk with the Coast Guard up here, and officially the rule is if you're on his pier, then he can tell you, yes, you can't fish from the pier or you can't put anything in the water.
Right.
If you're on the ground under his pier, you can't do anything either. But he has no control of the water between the ground and the pier.
Nope.
And I was sitting there thinking the whole time, I can't believe I'm having this conversation.
You figured because you had a freaking drone underwater, you wouldn't have that issue?
So
Yeah.
as long as you don't take off from his pier, you're good.
Right. And the comparison is people fishing, and I guess this has come up before where people would pull up on a boat and everybody knows fish hang out under piers and docks.
Right.
So they would pull up and they'd cast their line up under there and start fishing, and they'd block boaters from being able to come in and exit.
Wow. Because they have their lines up.
Because they have their lines in the water, and it becomes a thing. And I get that. I understand that. But when I started doing this, I thought, wow, this is totally unregulated. I can go do whatever I want to do and have some fun. I don't have to worry about anything. And then this kind of popped up one time. Just an interesting side note.
Yeah, but you should have known that it would have been a matter of time.
Yeah.
It would have been a matter of time.
It only happened once.
It happened once, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have to worry about it a whole lot here in New York. You pretty much better know where you can fly and where you can't fly from,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like if I don't know how I would have responded to that. You're a much nicer person than me. I might have gave him a couple of birds and a mouthful
You know what I
for
would have
saying
did?
something like that.
I just gave him the ugly look and then looked away from him and just kept
Well, the
what I
good news
doing.
was I was done. The battery
Okay,
had
there you go.
like 20% left, and I mean, and
Yeah,
you guys
but,
talk about
but
flight
how
time.
far was his pier from where you were?
Well, it was a U-shaped inlet, and I was on one side of it, so probably 20 yards. And if there's a boat coming, I got 5 motors on that thing. I can get out of the way real fast, so that part's not a problem. But and I understand, you know, fishermen sometimes are kind of a-holes. They got their lines in the water. They don't want to pull them in when a boat's coming through. I get that. That makes sense to me. But and there was no problem that was being created by this. He literally came from his pier, walked around to the other side of the U-shaped inlet to where I was, saying, you can't be over there. I own that property.
But could you think he could see your line or your tether?
Oh yeah, because it floats.
Oh, okay. All right, I got you. I don't know. I would have said, Damon Warren says, I would have told him to shut up and call the cops.
I was already on my way back, and it was like, I don't really want to argue about it. And then I called the coast.
In that situation, if he came and said, look, I own the property over there, could you keep it away from my area? I would have understand that. But if he said you can't have that in his water,
yeah, specifically
I would have had to respond a different much to this is your water.
I took a leak in his water.
You need to clean this water up, buddy.
Yeah, something.
A lot of sediment in that water right there. A little environmental hazard.
I
would imagine that there is going to be some environmental impact stuff that is, you know, just like bird sanctuaries and stuff, like we have to deal with that up here. They don't want us flying over bird sanctuaries.
It's the same thing here in New York.
I would imagine there's certain fish and stuff like that they don't want us messing with, or you know, maybe there's underwater sites that are somewhat sensitive they don't want us going into. I can see these things coming. I haven't had them happen yet, but I can see them coming.
I can see that thing being an issue here.
I could see it being an issue also, because just because the tether floats on top, people see this line coming towards them. Who are you spying on? Like Herman got the question.
Oh, I did have a ranger come out one
watching?
time. I did have a ranger come out one time and said, you can't fish from here. Oh no, he said, what are you fishing for? Because you can't really fish from here. And I said, I'm not fishing. And he goes, well, what's that in the water? And I told him, I showed him my screen. He goes, oh. He goes, do you have any bait on that? Are you trying to attract fish? I go, there's nothing on it. And I brought it up and showed it to him. He goes, oh, okay, well, there's no rules against that.
Well, wouldn't it have been interesting, hypothetically here, if when he came over and harassed you, Curtis, if you'd have whipped out your FAA, you're not your FAA, your EPA credentials, and said, I'm here checking why you're so polluted here. So I want to make sure that you're claiming this is yours, so that when we write this all up, you're responsible.
That is very funny, because I am working with a company that counts. I don't understand it yet.
Val's Life Puddles FPV is live.
Really?
I am working with this company that counts particulate that is in the water, and they want to reduce the amount of particulate that's in the water because it makes it harder for algae to grow, which is what the primary food source is of everything in the ocean. If you kill off the algae, then the smaller fish can't feed, larger fish can't feed on them, larger fish can't feed on them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Ta-da.
Well, it's almost that time. It's almost that time for us to get out of here. Val's Life Puddles FPV is live. I just got an alert. I mean, people are coming up with these names, making them longer and longer.
Somebody else got one little stream FPV.
It's Puddles and Puddle Jumper. They're online right now.
Puddles and Puddle Jumper.
Yeah, but you said Lawrence.
Huh?
You had
you said Puddle Jumper.
You had John, right? You said
Later, Rojo.
John was what?
Yeah, but they don't have anybody on their show like you guys do, though.
What was John's name again?
Oh, John, Big John 314. His name is Drips FPV.
Drips FPV. Drips Puddles. Who's got little stream FPV? Come on, Little River FPV. Somebody.
Well, I remember being in grade school and they talked about
Come on, Paul. Paul, you could name yourself Wet Diaper FPV.
Or Brownie FPV.
Come on, Paul. The Puddles is taken. You got to pee. Paul, Mary, Brownie FPV. See, we can go for hours with this.
Guys like all this running water.
I don't know what it is either. Anyway, we got to get ready to get out of here. Explicit, thanks for popping in, bro. Everyone who came to check out Sunday Nights with those guys, don't forget to check out Herman on Wednesday nights with those guys. Val's Life is up next.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday nights with those guys. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Phantom Flight 101's channel. We appreciate you all.
Although he should have it later in the day so I could be on.
Say it again. Say it again. Session on a Wednesday. How about 6 o'clock? Right?
Who?
I'm just saying you should have it later on in the day so they could be home.
That's
Ray and Curtis.
I'm just saying.
After 7, I'm done.
I get out of work at 5. So
anyway, guys, we appreciate you all. Thanks for coming in. Sunday Nights with those guys is sponsored by
those
guys. And we appreciate you all. Everyone, fly safe.
Good night. Merry Christmas.
We're out of here.